C19 and FM 88.5 now bring you the Superintendent's Update, a periodic discussion of the Memphis City Schools and Shelby County Schools merger process. Here now is Media Relations Manager Stephanie Everson with Superintendent Dorsey Hopson.
Hello, this is the Superintendent's Update, where Dorsey Hopson, Memphis City Schools and Shelby County Schools Superintendent, discusses the merger of both districts. Hello, Mr. Hopson.
Good morning. How are you, Stephanie?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing well.
It's been a couple weeks since we spoke, so give us a little update.
Well, a lot has happened, but let me just start off, Stephanie, by saying I'm so excited about and so proud of our students. In this segment, we spend a lot of time talking about where we are in the merger, what's happening with employees and things of that nature, and that's very important. But I think before we get into that, I just want to give a shout out to our students. The last couple of weeks have had a chance to just observe some extraordinary things that are going on in both districts. Went out to Collierville High School, got a chance to watch an AP English class being taught by our Commissioner of Education. The students were engaged, clearly learning was going on, and just being in that environment was something special. Also, a couple of days ago, got a chance to go out to Overton High School. A group of students from the Los Angeles County Performing Arts School came out and did a performance, taught different ways in which to use music to strengthen your educational experience. It was absolutely wonderful. Went out to Wooddale. You know, Wooddale has this phenomenal aeronautics program.
Yes.
I mean, I was just amazed to see you can be a high school student and get a pilot's license at Wooddale. So they had a program honoring some of their students in this life skills program sponsored by FedEx. We really appreciate them, appreciate their dedication to our students, but just teaching and learning going on everywhere. We're going to have a treat today. The Deputy Superintendent is going to join us, David Stevens. He and I went out to Germantown High School a couple of days ago and taped the show, and the students produced the show, just so engaged, just teaching and learning going on everywhere. You know, we spend so much time talking about the merger that we forget that we're really here for these kids. Right. And despite all of these things that are changing, pace 100 miles an hour, student achievement in Memphis and Shelby County is actually up. And I'd be remiss if I did not mention the fact that we had Arts Fest this past weekend. I mean, just wonderful student performances.
It was.
Wonderful student artwork. And then a couple of days before they had the Special Needs Arts Fest, those kids were equally impressive. And it just reminds you of why we're here. And if people just can rally around these beautiful and precious children that we all are responsible for developing, I think we're going to be okay.
I'm glad you said that, definitely. And it reminds you every single day while we're here.
Yes.
And you can just look at these performances, these student works, and say, hey, learning is still going on. It will continue to go on.
And I think it's also a testament to the principals and the teachers that despite all of the distractions, despite all of the media hype on all of these things surrounding the merger, they're continuing to move the needle forward in student achievement. I appreciate what they do every single day.
That is so important. All right, well, now we're going back to the other stuff.
Yes.
You know, all the hot questions.
Yeah.
The executive cabinet is now in place.
Yes.
So what are they working on? Because I understand that it's kind of transitioned from the steering committee.
Yeah, what we decided to do, the TSC has essentially been dissolved, and all of the responsibilities and the specific issues that the TSC were working on, they have been transitioned to the cabinet. The cabinet, just a group of energetic people who really care about this work. Their main focus right now is building their departments. As you know, our budget is going to include a 26% cut in the central office staff, so the cabinet members are charged with building out their cabinets and putting that 26% cut within their new departments. So what we are doing is, I think tomorrow, at the latest Monday, we're going to post our first rounds of jobs for the new central office staff, so they're working feverishly on that and making sure that they get as many efficiencies within their departments as they can so that we can deliver the services to the schools that we need to do in the most efficient manner we can.
So those are being structured by each cabinet member,
Yes.
right? The cabinet members are forming their teams
Yes.
as we speak.
For example, you have the chief of business operations. He's in charge of facilities, in charge of food services, and a couple more departments. So he now has to go in and say, all right, within my budget, how do I want to build my departments, and how is the way that I build my department going to make sure we deliver efficient services and operations to the schools.
When do you hope to have everybody in place?
Well, we hope to have everyone in place by the end of June. I mean, it's a detailed but fast process. And I want to say one thing that we did over the last week was we held informational sessions for all the central office employees, because again, I think that we've talked before, and a lot of times when people don't have facts, they make them up. So one thing we are committed to doing is being transparent and provide as much information as we know it, in real-time information. If we get it, we want everyone to know about it. So we had informational sessions where we let employees know what the next steps were, and kind of the do's and the don'ts, and how we saw the whole process going. So this first level of hiring will be what will be called the level 3 hiring. These will be the management employees who report directly to the cabinet members. Hope to have that process completed in a couple weeks, and then those people will work with the cabinet level people to design the rest of the department. So I mean, you're talking about 1,000 positions now that will probably end up being somewhere around the neighborhood of 750, 760. So since everyone has to reapply for their positions, we've got a whole lot of interviews to do and a whole lot of decisions to make in a short period of time, but we'll get it done.
All right, you will get it done. We merged July 1st.
I mean,
so it's happening. It's definitely happening.
Yeah.
But I appreciate, I was at an informational session myself. I appreciate your open door policy and your staff and your cabinet's open door policy. The fact that you have sent out many communications saying, if you have additional questions, do not hesitate to call me. Do not hesitate to email, call, whatever you need to do, we will get your questions asked. So it's important to remind the staff on a regular basis that don't let rumors and fears cloud what you need to know. That's the open door is very important.
And we really mean that, Stephanie. I mean, I think at the end of the day, you're talking about real people's lives and their livelihoods and their families and their future. So I think that people deserve to know all of the information as it becomes available. The rumor mill runs rampant. I mean, I had someone approach me and say, hey, I saw on Facebook that there's a rumor out that half the jobs have already been filled. That's just not true. I mean, not one job. The only jobs that have been filled are the cabinet level jobs. So from there, every other central office job is open, and people will have a fair opportunity. The process is going to be fair, it's going to be transparent, and it's going to be fast. Yeah.
All right. Well, we know that this is due to duplication of services as well as the budget. So can you give us a little budget update? Where are we with working with the Shelby County Commission?
We are continuing to put together a detailed budget. We have to present our budget by May 22nd to the County Commission. So I have directed staff to make sure we have a final budget by the end of April, and then what we'll have to do is we'll have to present that budget to the Board of Education for their approval. If they approve that budget, then we will submit the budget to the County Commission. So we still have a lot of work to do. I mean, just as we've always said, I mean, we have some tough decisions that have to be made. And once we get kind of the rough draft in the next week or so, we'll sit down with the cabinet and kind of, prioritize what we think is most important. I mean, there's been a lot of discussion recently about, possibly teachers being surplused, and even within that process, when we first sat down, we said, okay, well, we're going to try to adjust the staffing formula to hopefully save a few dollars. And then when we had the first crack at it, we felt that the teachers that would be surplus, it was just too many teachers. We weren't comfortable that number was going to allow us an opportunity to provide quality educational opportunities across the district. So we went back and reinvested about $10 million within that formula. And even with that $10 million investment, there were still maybe 120 or so positions at specific schools that have been eliminated. Now, that doesn't mean those teachers won't have jobs, because, you know, people will retire, you know, we'll have different enrollment trends. But where we are right now in the budget process, I mean, we have to consider everything. And as I said, I mean, once we put the numbers down, if we are not in the range of where we need to be, or in the range of what we think of, you know, a reasonable request of the commission is, then we're going to have to cut some more. So, I mean, it's not no secret. I mean, I've been trying to be honest about it. I know the Cabinet's been honest about it. We're in a tough situation, but notwithstanding that, we'll get it done.
But the team is still working on it. The board is still working on it.
Night and day. Yes.
Now, we've seen the special master around at the board meetings,
yes,
around the central office, through the district. What's going on with Mr. Masson and this work, and reminding people what the special master is there to do?
Well, Rick Masson, the court couldn't have made a better choice. He's very knowledgeable about the inner workings of public organizations and corporate organizations, and he actually has been a very big help just to make sure that we stay on track, stay focused on deadlines, and make sure this merger happens. The reason that he was appointed is because the court ultimately has to make sure that its order gets implemented and this merger happens. So, you know, the way courts work, you can't just call up the judge and say, hey, judge, we've got a question. I mean, judges have dockets. You just have to file motions. It takes a long time to get before the court. So what the court said is, let me essentially name somebody to be my eyes and ears in this process. And that's what Rick Masson is doing. David Stevens and I met with him earlier this week, and we just talked about deadlines and, you know, specifically the budget, specifically some of the other cost-saving measures that we're going to be recommending, like the outsourcing of the transportation and the outsourcing of the custodial services. So, you know, Mr. Masson is working hard behind the scenes, and he's being very, very helpful. We're glad he's around.
When we come back, Deputy Superintendent David Stevens will be joining the conversation.
It's not my fault I don't understand the work. I try, but it's not good enough.
They think I'm a teacher's pet. Am I really that horrible because I do well in class? I just want to be accepted.
I know I'm an outcast. I talk different. I dress different. Why is being different such a bad thing?
Stop bullying.
Okay, class, who can tell me what is 3x plus 6? Mr. Davis, come to the board, please. Both of you, out of my classroom right now.
Welcome back to the Superintendent's Update. Now joining us is Deputy Superintendent David Stevens. Hello, Mr. Stevens.
Stephanie, hello.
Hi, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your road to Deputy Superintendent?
You know, it's real interesting because I started my career 26 years ago at Snowden Junior High School in the Memphis City School System. And I come from a long line of educators from Memphis City Schools, and in fact, I'm the last of the Stevens that have been in this business. But I went to Shelby County as a teacher and a coach, and had an opportunity to be a head basketball coach, so I jumped at that. But then I got into administration as an assistant principal, a vice principal. Then I spent some years at Bolton High School as the principal of the school. Came to central office about 3 years ago as an assistant superintendent over curriculum instruction and chief of staff, and now I just really appreciate Superintendent Hopson and the opportunities given me in the new district.
So what is your new role specifically?
Well, you know, right now as deputy superintendent, when Superintendent Hopson was named the interim superintendent, we still have 50 schools and 50,000 kids out in the county, and 100,000 kids and a little over 200 schools in the city. And I was very honored that he wanted me to take care of the day-to-day operations of Shelby County Schools as we go through the merger, and then involved in the merger process of trying to get the two districts, everything harmonized and get us moving in the right direction.
And if I can jump in, Stephanie, he's very humble guy. I mean, just absolutely great guy, a great person, great educator, just such a wealth of knowledge with both districts. I think his dad goes back way back with the Memphis City Schools, and again, that working at Snowden. And then, but the key thing in my mind was just, I mean, the students, the teachers, the parents have such trust in David out in Shelby County. I was just so, with this situation that we're in now, I mean, trust is so important. So I just thought that, consistent leadership that could be trusted was important. And David, I mean, without a shadow of a doubt, was a person for that situation. Yeah.
Well, we're definitely glad that you're there.
Yes.
Definitely.
Glad to be here.
And you can also help us dispel some rumors that are happening right now. You talked a little bit earlier about the teacher transfer process, the voluntary process, and some rumors that are going on right now. So can you kind of help us out and go ahead and dispel some rumors and what we're looking at?
Yeah, and I can take a first swing at it, because I think in Shelby County Schools, last year we had to reduce about 110 positions in the county. Well, what we had been doing is we had been using our fund balance, which is our savings. Every year we have a budget, and we try to be as good stewards of the taxpayer dollars as we can, and so we may be able to put some money in that fund balance. Superintendent Akin at the time made the decision that we were going to try to maintain as many positions as we could, that we felt we needed to try to keep those in the schools. So we've been having declining enrollment, but we've been able to try to keep those positions in. Well, we're in a situation this year with that fund balance being spent down because the county commission said, before we give you any more money, you need to reduce this fund balance. So we have done that, and we have depleted it. So without this merger happening or not, we were going to face some drastic, well, not really drastic, but some cuts. We were going to do that. And the thing that I appreciate Superintendent Hopson, what he said earlier, we really feel that we've made cuts. We've definitely tightened our belt, and our folks are feeling it out there. But at the end of the day, when we've looked at this, I have 2 kids in the school system. Superintendent Hopson has 2 kids. We're not going to do anything to put our own kids at jeopardy or any other kids. So we're going to make sure that we're able to maintain those same programs, the same quality of instruction. And when our parents and our kids show up in our unified district this fall, they're really not going to see a big difference. And our hope is that it's going to be the same, and as we build it and go forward, that they're going to say, this is a good thing. And my kid is getting exactly what they need. So that's our goal. But we are in some definite dire straits when it comes to funding.
Okay. But you're not going to be sending a whole group of teachers from one school clear across the city and then moving that group clear across the city like people fear.
Right, and I think people are worried that we're going to take their principal and go shift them to South Memphis and then move this principal. The only adjustments we're making is we look at the enrollment figures, we look at that staffing ratio. Some schools may lose 5 or 6 teachers. Other schools may be picking up 2 or 3. And there's schools in the county that are gaining teachers, and there's schools in the county that are losing teachers. But those teachers will have an opportunity to transfer into those open positions, because as Superintendent Hopson said, we're looking at probably maybe 115, 120 reduction in forced positions, but every year, historically in Memphis City Schools last year, there were over 250 new teachers were hired with other reductions. In the same situation in the county, we hired probably 75 to 100 new teachers after reducing 100 teachers. So we feel if we have good, effective teachers that are there, they may be said, all right, you're not going to be able to teach at this school, but we feel that those good teachers are going to have that opportunity at other schools. So I think there's a lot of angst, it's a lot of change. I think everything it's so easy to blame everything on the merger. But I think at a time we're kind of in a perfect storm with the property tax appraisal coming in lower, county commission, the county's having money issues. We're trying to merge these districts, we're trying to be efficient and make these cuts. But our goal at the end of the day is we're going to take care of our kids.
All right. Well, what's coming up next? We've got some board meetings, work sessions, special called meetings, transportation, custodial operations. What are some other big things that will be decided very soon?
I think as we kind of sunsetted the TSC, we had gotten down to about 30 recommendations that still need to be brought to the board for a vote up or down. So we're going to 172, I believe.
We're working.
We've been working extremely hard, tirelessly, and I do appreciate the work of the TSC. Superintendent Cash and Superintendent Akin, they did a great job of naming a group of folks to come together, and we've spent so many hours and learned from each other and been able to say, let's take the best of both districts, because there's so many good things that are happening in the two districts to build something that's even better down the road. But we're looking at bringing those. Also, the work is being finalized on the custodial contract. The board did vote to outsource custodial. Now we have to see which vendor. And then we're looking at transportation, and those recommendations will also be being brought. And then we just have the day-to-day stuff that we have to keep doing and bring at our regularly called meeting that's coming up at the end of the month. So we're looking at, I believe, a special call. I believe it's on April 25th, that's Thursday, to try to hit some of those recommendations, knock those out, and then look at those two contracts.
30 left.
30 left.
30 left.
But there's so many other things that the TPC didn't even touch on. So there's so many initiatives that we've been working on, and groups are tirelessly. You know, that they kind of looked at it from a global perspective, but now we're kind of down in the weeds, looking at every program, every little thing, and how we're going to get those harmonized.
And as David just said, we still have 2 school districts that are operating every day. I mean, we've got testing coming up very soon. I want to take this opportunity to just, remind those teachers and those principals and those parents to continue to encourage your child, to continue to make sure that they stay on the work. Again, despite these distractions, student achievement is up. I can't say that enough. Student achievement is, well, last year it was up. It's been up. It's been up. It's been up. So I just hope that we can continue to build on that momentum as we move forward.
And the one thing I do want to say, I would be remiss if I didn't, I really have been so impressed with Superintendent Hopson.
Thanks.
Really, he has walked into an extremely tough situation. But when he was at the PTA principal and parents, or principal and president's luncheon, I look up and there's Superintendent Hopson shows in the county, and he goes up to the principals and the parents and say, how are things going? How can we make it better? But that personal touch, and I think that was the thing that the folks in Shelby County always thought was, our superintendent and his open door policy. But I mean, Superintendent Hopson stepped in a very, very tough, we've had 2 really, really good superintendents that we've had in this district, and those 2 folks aren't with us. But I could not think in this situation of anybody else I'd rather be sitting by doing this than Dorsey Hopson. He is doing a fabulous job under some really, really tough conditions.
Well, David, as I ask everybody, pray for me.
We are, brother. We are.
Well, and I personally appreciate the open door and approachable demeanor of both of you and the cabinet members, and just walking down the hall, smiling, talking, what can I do, any questions you have. That is greatly appreciated by everyone.
We're going to make this thing happen.
Oh, yeah. But I wanted to bring this back up because we still get these questions so that you guys can assure the parents. They want to know those start times. They want to know uniforms. So with transportation coming soon, these decisions are soon to follow?
Yeah, with the transportation decision, we will kind of have a full recommended menu of start times next year. And there will be some times that we're going to recommend changing, because what happens, and we just found this out earlier this week, when you're trying to design the bus routes in the most efficient manner, and you have a limited number of buses, if you have more start times, you can do more with fewer buses. So we've had someone there really, really looking, really doing the analysis. So there will be some changes in start times. Our hope is that we can communicate that to parents as quickly as possible, so that they can make whatever necessary adjustments that they need to make. On the uniforms, we've got working groups looking at those issues, and I think that our policy department has done some parental engagement. They've done some parent surveys trying to figure out, we want to make sure that parents have some input, but that recommendation will be coming to the board fairly soon too.
All right, thank you. But before we go, we recently had some superintendent search meetings, some additional meetings, and I did see a good turnout from parents. Can you give people a little update of where they're at with that, with PROACT?
Yeah, I mean, I think they did a series of, maybe 10 meetings or so across the community. I think they are probably slated to have a first slate of candidates identified sometime by the end of the month. Once they submit those candidates, I guess the board will interview them and vet them and see what we come up with. So that process is moving forward.
And it was, like I said, we do appreciate your transparency and the opportunity for parents to be involved. I've seen a lot of parents out in input sessions, info sessions, community meetings, and so on. So that has been wonderful.
We need the parents. We need the parents. We need the parents.
Right.
I mean, we can't do this by ourselves. And again, as we've been saying, I mean, we're going to all sink or swim together. But I'm optimistic we're going to swim, and we just, want to make sure that the parents stay engaged. And if there are any things that we could do to heighten parental engagement, we're open to those suggestions every day.
Right. Stay engaged. Just because there was one meeting, don't go away.
Yeah, that's right.
Keep following.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'd like to thank you both for joining us for another update. And we will be seeing you again in a few weeks to give us more info on the merger.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be ready.
All right, there you have it. For more information on the merging of Memphis and Shelby County Schools, visit www.mcsk12.net/TSC. This has been the Superintendent's Update. Have a great day.
The preceding was produced by the Department of Communications and Broadcast Services through the facilities of C19 and FM 88.5. Stacy Franklin, Executive Director.
Okay, class, who can tell me what is 3x plus 6? Mr. Davis, come to the board, please. Both of you, out of my classroom right now.